Forget the hype, let's talk about power. With this new release, Google Veo 3 just kicked down the door of its competitors and flipped the tables. Seriously, this isn't just an update. This feels more like a complete quantum leap in terms of AI filmmaking. We're seeing a level of quality and integration, especially with sound, that just made all of the other AI video generation platforms look old. If this were a ball game, it's a straight up blowout in terms of raw potential. Every other AI video tool just got put on notice, and we might be looking at a true king of the hill moment. And on the surface, it looks like just the revolution we AI filmmakers have been begging for. But every king has flaws. So the $250 question is Veo 3 really the new AI filmmaking messiah we've been waiting for? Or just another player in the AI filmmaking game with a very expensive price tag? I've been in the trenches, pushing Veo 3, burning credits, and hitting its walls. In part 1 of this series, we're cutting through the AI news bros hype and focusing on the core. Can Veo 3 deliver Hollywood-grade cinematic visuals and audio from a single prompt? Be sure to stick around to the end of the video because we're digging in to see how its visuals really look and how its sounds really hold up under pressure. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? My name is Paul Donis Maximus. Thanks for checking out the AI Filmmaking Advantage, where here we talk about how to make and monetize AI filmmaking. And before we get into it, my students are learning a better way to defeat AI mods and censoring with my bonus From Basic to Badass Consistent Character Enhancement Prompt Training. If you're a student in the AI Cinematographer's MidJourney playbook, just log into the course and dive in. All of the keywords and prompts to use are below the video. If you're not a student, then be sure to go ahead and enroll while it's still cheap. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below this video to learn more. Okay, let's first talk about access. Veo 3 isn't a standalone tool. It's part of Google's $250 per month AI Ultra plan. And the cool thing is that for the first 3 months, they will give it to you for an introductory price of $125 per month. This gives you ample time to test out the tool, see if it's something that you'd be interested in adding to your AI filmmaking workflow. And as long as you stay subscribed for the 3 months that they give you this intro price, you will get it for $125 versus $250. The downside to that is if you truly love the tool, after 3 months, the price skyrockets to $250. Now, obviously that's a serious investment. So what are you getting that matters to us as AI filmmakers? The core value for us as filmmakers is the premium creative suite. This right here is labs.google/fx, and you'd be accessing Google Veo 3 via what Google calls Google Flow. This is their AI filmmaking platform. The AI Ultra plan also includes access to Whisk, Google Imagen 4, and their Music FX Studio. Now, to be honest with you, I've not done anything with Whisk or Image FX or Music FX. As most of you know, I use MidJourney for 99% of my cinematic images, sprinkled in with a bit of Flux and Mystique. And for music, my top choice is still Epidemic Sound because all I have to do is search for the music, select a track, and download it. If I'm wanting to get a bit creative, my next go-to is Suno, followed by Udio. The other thing to note about Google Flow is that you can generate up to 1080p 8-second video clips, but there's a catch to that, more like a bug, and we'll get into that as we progress in the video. But as you can see, Google is trying to sweeten the pot for that $250 per month investment. Beyond direct video generation, you get the keys to Google's most powerful AI brain, Gemini 2.5 Pro. And this can be your AI creative co-pilot for your entire filmmaking process. And so imagine working side by side with an AI at this level to help you develop unique film concepts, flesh out storylines, write detailed scene descriptions, build characters, draft dialogue, and craft those intricate layered prompts needed to get the exact cinematic visuals from either Veo 3 or MidJourney, and even troubleshoot creative blocks or get suggestions for shots and lighting. And trust me guys, this AI partnership can be a massive time saver and idea booster when you're crafting your films. As you can see right here, I've actually created an AI assistant, and pretty much every single thing that I've done with Google Veo 3 to date, I've used Google Gemini Gemini 2.5 Pro in order to pretty much brute force my way through learning the tool and figuring out things and trying to figure out why things aren't working with the help of Gemini 2.5 Pro. Now, as you can see from this screenshot, I've actually trained it on Stable Diffusion. I don't use Stable Diffusion a lot, but the few times that I do test it out, I want my AI assistant to already know how to prompt for it. So again, there's massive value in working with the AI while you're crafting all of your cinematic scenes for Google Veo 3. Now, like pretty much all of the AI generation tools on the market, Google Veo 3 is a credit-based system, and when you sign up, they give you 12,500 AI credits to use across Flow and Whisk. What you should also know is that generating a single 8-second Veo 3 clip typically consumes around 150 of those credits. And if you do the math, if we just look at the extra credit packs that you can buy for 25 bucks, 50 bucks, and even 200 bucks, each 8-second Veo 3 clip is roughly $3 per clip. Yes, that is very expensive. In fact, it's likely the most expensive per clip generation on the market to date. And trust me, those credits can drain very quickly, especially when you're testing and re-rolling. I actually had to buy an extra $50 worth just to complete all of the testing that I did, and hopefully these tutorials will help you to not burn through your credits as quickly, because honestly, I didn't spend a lot of time trying to find a bunch of information on how to use Google Veo 3. I just kind of brute forced my way through it. So that's definitely something that you should keep in mind. But one thing to note is that if for some reason your generation fails, whether they don't like the image that you're using or it was something that screwed up on their end, they do refund you your credits for that failed generation. And one more thing to note here is that any credits that you buy in addition to the credits that they give you per month are valid for up to 12 months. Now, one of the things that I do not know as of this video is that when you get those initial 12,500 credits per month, I don't know if those credits roll over per month because I used them all up. In fact, I'm pretty sure that anyone who signed up for Google Veo 3 has used up all their credits, so that information may not be available for a while. So to recap, 250 bucks per month gets you their high-powered creative suite and AI Copilot funded by a credit system. With that investment understood, let's dive into Veo 3's visual capabilities. For Veo 3, Google claims photorealistic output and nuanced prompt adherence. And what does that nuanced prompt adherence mean? It means that the AI actually delivers on most or all of those specific details you ask for, like the age of your AI characters, the pose, the specific wardrobe details, the action of the scene, the exact kind of lighting and shadows, and if you want the scene to look like it was shot with an 85mm lens with a specific color grade. Just take a look at some of these examples.
Pickles and ice cream? He liked it? Seriously? What kind of monster does that?
So, the potential for stunning visuals, it's definitely there. As I've mentioned, my preferred workflow is to use something like MidJourney or Flux to lock in that cinematic look, then use Gemini 2.5 Pro to craft a detailed Veo 3 prompt. But a lot of what I've found with Veo 3 is that getting that perfect shot is like winning the lottery. Veo 3 currently struggles hard with consistency. And for the most part, if you take your image over to Veo 3 and generate the video, you likely won't run into problems, but with a caveat that we'll get into later into the video. What I've found is that 97% of the generations to where I give it an image, it will generate the video, but it won't generate any sound. That is a current known glitch, and it's very, very disheartening because it takes away a lot of the control that you have over your scenes. For instance, again, this scene right here that you saw previously, I generated it in MidJourney, upscaled it in FreePic, and brought it over to Veo 3. And what you want to do is select frames to video, put in your prompt, and always always, if you're going to use Veo 3, make sure that you select highest quality experimental audio Veo 3. And let me go ahead and mention this right now. If you do something to where if you back out of this project and come back in it, Veo 3 is not going to remember to keep it selected to highest quality experimental audio. What's going to happen is that it's going to reset to fast, and if you don't catch it, you're going to run it and realize, oh crap, that's not what I wanted, but you don't get your credits back in that instance. Another thing is that if you were on this project page and you hit the refresh button and then you added your frame again and you dropped in your prompt, if you forgot to come here and select this once again, you're going to get the default fast selected setting. So that's very important to remember. And the cool thing that I just noticed as well is it tells you based on the model that you're using how many credits it's going to consume. I think I said the math worked out to about 150 credits, but they're telling us it's 100 credits, so we have to run with that. So again, remember, if you refresh the screen, if you come out of this project, you come back in it and you want to rerun your stuff, always remember to reselect this if you're wanting to get audio. Now, here's the kicker. 98% of the videos that I've generated to where I used frame to video using Veo 3, which is the highest quality experimental audio setting, the video will generate, but there will not be any sound attached to the video. Even with this particular video generation that you see right here, even though you're seeing those hallucinating subtitles, which there's no known way to prompt that out of your generations, there is still no sound attached to this video clip. But again, we'll come back to that later on in this video. Now, here's a perfect example of what I was talking about in keeping that character consistency. As you can see, this scene starts off with the frame that I gave it. This is an image that I generated in Flux, but as you've noticed, halfway through, the robot turns black. The prompt definitely says sleek white humanoid robot, but the generation does not hold up. But thankfully, that wasn't the case for most of these generations. This was another instance where I was trying to get sound out of the clip because it worked previously, as you clearly saw in one of the examples that I showed you in the demo trailer video that I did prior to this one, but it's very, very inconsistent and you will burn through a lot of credits trying to get what you want. Here's another example of a scene that I generated in MidJourney. Same process, took the raw output from MidJourney, took it over to FreePic, upscaled the image, brought it over to Veo 3, selected frames to video, and made sure that I selected Veo 3. But as you can see, the scene starts off with the first frame of what I gave it, and then it morphs into something completely different. And this happened in a lot of the generations. In fact, I would say most, if not all, of the scenes that I generated for this particular image did that, to where it started off with my original scene and then it just morphed into something completely different. It reminds me a lot of what Sora does with your inputs, where it takes what you give it and imposes its own will and renders what it wants you to have, which was one of the big reasons I stopped using Sora very early on, because I don't like the idea of the AI saying, no, we know what you want, but we're actually going to give you what you need. Luckily, Veo 3 doesn't suck nearly as bad as Sora, at least as of this video. And out of this entire set, there was only one scene to where it actually held up, to where the entire scene remained consistent with that character. But then I got some gibberish dialogue, which made the scene completely unusable.
Your door sprayed some me.
And of course, when I tried the same thing again, it did that thing to where it just morphed into something completely different. As you can see, those glitches can get very expensive, and unless you've got money to burn, you might just want to move on to something else. It also really struggles with prompt adherence at this point, and this particular scene that I'm showing you is actually a text to video scene. The prompt says, a lone samurai pulls his katana from his sheath, rain hisses, he mutters, this ends now. But as you can see, he's already got the sword in his hand, and then there's already a sword in the sheath, but he's going to go through the motion as if he's pulling the sword from its sheath.
This ends now.
And that's not the only instance. This happened multiple times. Check this out.
This ends now.
Here's another example where I was simply just trying to get the woman to remove the hood from her head. Very simple prompt. She pulls the hood away from her head, revealing her dark hair beneath. It just would not do it. I mean, you can see for yourself how many times I rolled this thing. And this was with Veo 2 actually, because again, I was just getting started trying to find my way around how to use this new tech and didn't realize I needed to select Veo 3 in the setting. But still, even with Veo 2, it still struggled to get her to pull the hood away from her head, and so I finally just gave up. But just for my curiosity, I took the same exact scene, and again, this is a scene that I generated in MidJourney. This is a text-to-image scene. Unsurprisingly, Kling nailed it in one shot. So out the gate, we've already got very expensive problems with character consistency just within one scene, as well as prompt adherence, and this could be a nightmare for AI filmmakers working within a limited budget. But let's be real, as with all brand new tech, it's got its glitches and we have to muscle through them for now. So visuals are mixed. What about sound? Veo 3's big promise is integrated audio, generating sound with the video right from the prompt. That means no manual layering in your editor, at least in theory. You just ask for the sounds you want. Listen to these engines roar. Listen to those gunshots pop. When this works, it's a massive time saver. Before this, you'd normally have to use a workflow where you'd have to go to something like 11 Labs, generate your sound effects there, and then take them into your editor of choice, mine is Final Cut Pro, and sync up your audio sound effects that way. But the integrated audio feature isn't perfect. Far from it. Basic sounds often work okay, but sometimes it adds in obvious slop that doesn't match the scene. Take this scene for example. Did you notice the sound of a sword slicing through the air? And it happened more than once. There's nothing in this scene that indicates that that sound should be there. And I rolled this scene a few times and there was literally only one scene that generated with sound. This was a frames to video generation. Actually, there was one other scene that generated sound, but as you can see from this clip,
फिल्म में पूंछ जाता है और इसका ज्यादा तरीके का अगर वीडियो में चीज कर गाता है दे फाइन खेलने को देखिए हम थंबा हो चुकी है यति जाटे जानते हैं
I guess this is some sort of foreign commentator as if this was a boxing match. That is just complete slop. But aside from that, the other scenes didn't generate any audio and I didn't want to continue to waste credits trying to get what I needed. Which brings me to my next point. There are times when the audio just vanishes. And I wouldn't even say that it's because you're using a complex prompt. It's very common for Veo 3 to just go completely silent and the audio often just drops out. This is another reality check moment with the current state of Google Veo 3. And here's another massive audio headache. While Veo 3 can generate 1080p video, the audio frequently gets stripped if you try to generate 1080p directly from Google Flow's platform. In fact, I've not been able to successfully download a 1080p version from Google Veo 3 that actually had the audio in it. So as an example, I'm going to download this clip that I just downloaded in 1080p. I'm going to open the clip. This is the 1080p version of that clip. There is no audio in this clip whatsoever. But as I've already shown you, the 720p version does have the audio.
They sleep soundly in their neon glow, unaware the strings holding it all together are mine to pull.
In fact, Google Veo's own documentation even hints that audio can drop during upscaling. So what's the workaround right now? Well, you have to download the 720p version, which in my testing usually keeps the audio, and then upscale it yourself using tools like Topaz Labs Video AI. This solution works, but it means extra steps, extra software, and extra time. And then there's the obvious censoring. Most of these AI generation models assume that all filmmakers are making Pixar-styled rated G AI films. Now, I already made an assumption that something like this wouldn't go through, but I wanted to test it out anyway, because I wanted to show you guys what you're dealing with so that you can make informed decisions about whether or not you want to include this model into your workflow. So I generated this image, upscaled it in FreePic, and took it over to Veo 3 to see if it would generate. And I tried this a few times. And just before any of you ask, no, it was not a bug, because I actually came back to this a day later. So as you can see the date there, it says May 28th, but yesterday I tried running this thing and it said failed generation. And at that time I said, okay, well, maybe, just maybe, there's something going on in the back end to where there's too much traffic or something that was keeping the generation from going through. And on the previous attempt, I ran it multiple times, got the same failed generation, and decided to come back to it later. Now, I took multiple screenshots as the generation was progressing. I'm not going to show you all the screenshots, but I want to show you that we got all the way up to 90%. And honestly, I thought that the generation would go through this time. But lo and behold, we got to 90%, and then I got this couldn't generate video, try again later. Thankfully, Kling 2.1 did not have such hangups, and this image generated on the first roll. Thank God for the Chinese models. Never thought I'd be saying that ever. That's why it's great to have competition in this AI video generation space. So obviously, if Google, because that's what Veo 3 is, determines that there's too much skin in the video generation, the generation will fail. Now all we need is for the Veo 3 competition to catch up with Veo 3, which is either going to force Google to relax their moderation, because as you can see with Kling 2.1, I only generated this with 35 credits compared to the 100 credits that Google would have charged me if the generation would have went through, but I got refunded those credits since the generation failed. Or Google will see users abandoning Veo 3 in droves. So again, right now Google Veo 3 has the advantage, because just from my testing, if I add AI sound and I put in here what I want with Kling 2.1, it may give me the soundscape that I tried to generate with Veo 3. But for this video, I'm not testing it out because I don't want to keep re-rolling it until it finally gives me something close to it. The AI sound with Kling is not there quite just yet, but when they do catch up, it's going to be game changing. So in essence, if you've got shots like that, I would say don't waste your time, because you're not going to waste credits, but I'm hoping to save you some time in letting you know that it's likely not going to work. And since I am a creative partner with Kling, I actually went into their Discord server and posted this on you guys' behalf, pleading with them to maintain their competitive advantage over other models. And I said the exact same thing that I've told you guys. Obviously, not all of us AI filmmakers are making rated G Pixar-styled animated films, and the minute you guys catch up to Veo 3, many of us will be abandoning it in droves. This is what we mean in America when we say competition is good. And thankfully, Kling does listen to their users. They do listen to their creative partners. So hopefully they take this into account, because it's very simple. Don't be as censored as some of the other American models like Sora and Veo 3. Keep doing what they're doing, and the minute they catch up to Veo 3, it's game over. Do you agree with that statement? Let me know in the comments below. But definitely make sure you guys are supporting the AI models that are currently fully supporting our mission, and vote with your dollars accordingly. That is the only way that competition will remain in this space, and you don't end up with a monopoly of censored models to where your only choice is something like Sora or Google Veo 3. So let's circle back to our core question. Can Google Veo 3 deliver Hollywood-grade cinematic visuals and audio from a single prompt? The answer is a complicated yes with a lot of buts. The potential here is huge, undeniable. We've seen that it can produce stunning visuals and integrated sound, but you're constantly wrestling with consistency issues, bizarre glitches, and frustrating bugs. It's powerful, absolutely, but it's still very much untamed. And honestly, this is just half the story. We haven't even touched on the really complex stuff like making AI talk. What about dialogue, voiceovers, and how do we fix those insane unwanted subtitles that keep popping up? We'll dive into all of that, plus the workflow tips we've talked about, the bugs, the workarounds, and my final verdict on whether that $250 price tag is really worth it, all in part 2. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this review and are looking forward to the next one. Once again, my name is Paul Adonis Maximus. Thanks for checking out this video. Please join me in the next one.